Alright, so I've started the recording. Give me just a few more minutes here. Or not really a few more minutes, give me more like a minute. Alright, so welcome everybody to the second AMA for the European, or, for the across the pond people. I'm just kidding. I'm over in the United States, so good morning everybody. So first to get started, Sneal sadly had something come up with his family, so he won't be here with me today, but I will be here and I will be going over the last few things that he talked about last AMA, and then I will be fielding any questions that anybody has further past that. So without further ado, let's get started. For the first part, we're obviously going to talk about secure messaging. I know this is kind of an old feature that we've talked about since about 2016, but we're still going to be implementing such a feature. The reason why we haven't done it yet is because the current method is just a direct relay. It doesn't store a history or anything like that. The other users have to contain this history. They have to have this in order to relay the messages to other people. So it's not really stored on a blockchain. It's not really done the way we would like to have it done. And it's just a little more of a hassle, the current method. It's also not very clean, so we've been working on reworking it completely, building it completely up from scratch using our fractal system, so that way also you can have the messaging across different platforms and different networks. Mainly, we support altcoins. Like right from the get-go, any kind of Bitcoin-based altcoin can directly plug into us. They don't even have to have our features or functions to work with us. And this is going to be a big plus moving forward because now we can message across the chains, and we can even create rooms and such similar to Discord later on, which is uh, one of the other main goals is to kind of move away from Discord, move away from third-party social media entirely. So moving on to side on chain, and again, guys, feel free to have some questions and ask them in main chat. Sorry, I didn't. I typed that out there, but I didn't say it to everybody listening. If you don't have a microphone at the end of this and you still want your question answered, just type it out in main chat. So on side on chain, so what this is this is an expansion implementation of what we already have. So with NFTs and tokens and the smart contract system that we're launching with the fractal implementation, what this offers us is an overall advanced way to store data and a advanced way of managing it and rendering it. So by having this capability, we can do a lot of things. So NFTs and tokens are kind of the first example because they're a little more simple to get going. You know, there's not a whole lot of magic and trickery involved in storing a picture and storing that kind of data. It's a little straightforward. With side on chain, it's a little less straightforward because now we have to deal with things like dynamic data. We have to worry about databases and constantly accessed things. We also have to deal with things that aren't rendered by a web browser, for instance, or by a server requiring things like, PHP and other stuff like that. But these modules can all be integrated uh, into our system as well. So this isn't an issue. It just requires a little more time. Overall, we can pretty much immediately do HTML and be able to have users at least do static pages and some dynamic pages with a little bit of limitation initially. And then moving forward, there will be absolutely no limitations once we fully integrate other modules and features. So one more thing, we're going to let's see. We're just going to move on to pause v4 really quick because this is actually kind of been a big question. I know a lot of users have had questions about, why are my coins not staking? And if I have 2 million or 10 million, I really don't see any stakes coming in, and this is an issue with proof of stake version 3, which is used by pretty much every coin out there, and I mean we're talking Bvacs, just anything that uses pause. It initially comes, from Black Coin. They them and oh now I forget the other coin, but anyway, them and another coin uh, created the proof of stake system and then refined it by creating new versions of it. And version 3 was the last one to be created before they pretty much abandoned working on it. And you see custom implementations of proof of stake nowadays, but you do not see, you don't see anything from what's known as, quote, the standard anymore. So that's why you see things like delegated staking. With Ethereum, they're trying to do staking now. With Cardano, they've had staking apparently. So things like that. But they're all very, very different in how they do it. Require entire servers and systems in order to perform such an action. We're going to be doing pause v4 since no one has bothered to do this. And what this is just going to be advanced weight management. What's going on right now is because of pause v3, it had no capability of properly resetting a user's weight, and this felt kind of sloppy because in a wallet, when a user's staking, it'll stake a certain amount of coins. And then if the user still has other coins that have valid weight, the network weight for them will never go down. So they technically never reset. They never have to go back in line, so to speak. They're always at the first of the line. And this is what's causing the issues between, choking some of the lower balances out of staking entirely. So the solution to this is to have the network weight managed better and have the addresses completely reset their coins whenever it's staked, and just having this enforced by consensus through the blockchain. By doing this, now we wouldn't have to worry about that sort of thing, and whenever somebody staked, it would completely reset their stake weight. This would clean up also a lot of the issues for generating blocks entirely because now we'd have less or a lower overall network stake weight. It'd be easier to make blocks so everybody can participate and have a chance. And even though you have, a lot of coins, you would mean you have a higher chance to get them more often. But now the little guy would be able to get them too, like even down to like 500 coins, people would be able to finally stake something. So that would definitely be nice. And finally, we wanted to talk about X nodes. So for X nodes, what this is effectively I guess you could compare it very similarly to master nodes, but it's not quite that, because what we're doing now is we're able to store uh, a lot of different kinds of data, and we're storing it through the fractal system, like I mentioned earlier. But X nodes are the proprietors of this data. They host it and they also store it. And they store it because the users that are creating these contracts and creating NFTs and so on, they're paying these X nodes in fees. So when you create a contract, when you create an NFT, just like with Ethereum or Cardano or any other blockchain that has, NFT capabilities, when you mint an NFT, you're paying in fees. And this normally goes to, the miners or however they have it done. With this would actually go to the X node that's hosting the data. It also will go to voters. So the community is a self-regulating system when it comes to how the fractal system works. What I mean by that is users will vote on like NFTs, tokens, and other things like that, on whether or not to allow them to even get minted in the first place. When a user mints an NFT or a token, it'll go to a pool of requests, and the community can decide whether or not to tell the network to allow that. The reason for this is to stop abuse of material and to stop illegal material. We have no need for any of that kind of material on our blockchain, and this will be a great way to regulate that, as most of our community will agree with such a decision. So once it gets minted, or once anything gets minted, a token contract or NFT contract, or even side on chains, um, this will get stored. The data will get stored on the X node, and this is completely voluntary for the X node. You do not have to allocate any data if you do not want to. But the more data you allocate to storing these type of things, the more fees you can accrue, and so on and so forth. And with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and open up the floor for people to ask questions, and I'll answer some questions as well. Hopefully, I'm not too rambling on here, guys. So, looking forward to some questions though. I see real quick. I'll do in Maine. I see Plum Bear or Plum Beer. Any plans to updating pause? 500 ESP per block found is good too, but well, the reason why we have a static payout for 500 instead of the percent that we used to have is due to security concerns. We had to move it to static because that's the only way we can properly ensure block security on generated coins. With dynamic, it's very difficult and it requires a little more, well, actually, a lot more elaborate checks and things like that. And it just wasn't worth loading down the network to attempt to do that, at least not at this time. It's something we can definitely revisit, but at this time, I'm not too keen on doing that. Also, the reason why we dropped it to 500 was because 5,000 was just generating too many coins. The emissions were absolutely outrageous, and this was causing a value concern for many users. So we're trying to curb the value concern with doing the 500 ESP per block with that decision. So by the way, guys, if you're in the AMA, you can hit the little button down there, the little hand, and it'll say request to speak. So let me know, guys, if you want to ask any questions or anything like that.
Since there's no requests, I think we should talk a bit about Demi system, about handling.
I very much agree about that. So what Demi nodes are is this pertains to the security concern that we had starting back in July, and it's not just us that had this concern. There were quite a few many blockchains that are susceptible to I don't even know what to call it. It's just fake coin generation attacks because it's not a fake stake. It's not any kind of attack that anyone has ever seen before. And what they're doing is they're creating a output with proof of work, because proof of work cannot be validated as far as how many coins are being generated at once. There's no inputs, and so there's no way to validate how a proof of work block is generated beyond how many coins you're expecting to see. So because of this, they can generate a proof of work transaction despite it, it could even be on someone else's block. But if they generate a proof of work transaction on a different tier, is the best way to describe this, because there's different layers on a block of transactions. So, a proof of work is usually, on a level one, so to speak, and then proof of stake would be level two, and then any other further transactions would be higher than that. And in this case, they would put the proof of another proof of work transaction higher than uh, the standard proof of work or proof of stake transaction levels. And by doing this, they were able to generate mass amount of coins very quickly and without being able to be stopped. There was a few blockchains that were attacked like this, including Digital Note. They're a great blockchain, mind you, but yes, they fell susceptible to this sort of attack. What was nice though is they were able to quickly correct it. We were also able to relatively quickly correct it. We decided to take the long route and completely rewrite our network system. And by doing this, we can make sure this is just not possible, that this attack can't happen in the future. And no attack like it, because now we verify inputs and outputs very extensively. We verify the history on it, and we verify that the history is also not corrupt itself. So with this, we introduce a system called Demi nodes, and this allows for a few things. It allows for extra security and also much faster syncing. The issue we were having a lot in the past is we'd have, forks or just being dragged off on someone else's blockchain. This is an issue for, any kind of blockchain and altcoin. And for us, it was happening on occasion, and this completely stops it. This also completely stops the ability for unvalidated blocks to be able to come onto the chain at all, even though we still accept blocks from anybody. So the whole point is, anybody mining, even if they're solo mining, they're going to have the blocks accepted. Proof of stake, proof of work, it's all still going to come in. But Demi nodes kind of regulate it a little bit more. They ensure the consensus further, and they also allow us to do things like trusting a reorganized, which is where the blockchain completely shifts to a different fork. And this happens a lot. What I mean is, whenever somebody finds a new block, they can have different blocks beforehand, and this has to be checked and regulated, and then merged into your blocks, so that way everybody has the same synchronization. So with Demi nodes, what it does is it allows us to reorganize further, because otherwise we don't want to trust other peers. They can do anything, and a lot of the issues were when you'd first start up a wallet, you'd be talking to different nodes that have different blocks, and you'd be reorganizing to each one. This is just simply how Bitcoin altcoins work. And we completely had to rewrite this feature in order to get it to stop doing this. Now we only listen to Demi nodes, and anybody can be a Demi node. It's not a locked feature. So I mean, you can just launch your own node and then configure that as a Demi node for yourself. I mean, we provide a default list and a default configuration of what we would recommend and what we know works well, but anybody can change this to what they feel is better or what they feel they need. And so, because Demi nodes all synchronize to each other and then we synchronize to them, this simply just cleans up everything. We're also able to sync much, much faster because there's no conflicts. There's no other wallets trying to tell us, well, this is actually the blockchain when it's not. And this also allows us to make sure that we don't just get dragged off to the longest blockchain, which was a big deal and a big issue in the past for many blockchains, including Verge. I don't know if anybody remembers that last year, but XVG or Verge actually lost about a year worth of blocks and transaction history, and it was a big old fiasco that took them a week to fix. And this is simply because someone reorganized their blockchain because someone was longer and they attacked their chain. And it doesn't take much to attack. It's not a 51% attack. It literally just takes you connecting to the blockchain to initiate this sort of attack. And so Demi nodes prevent this. I hope I answered your question there, Alexander, but I hope I didn't ramble on too much.
Well, yes, your answer is quite enough, I think.
Well, thank you, bud. Let me know if you have any other questions. All right, so Vorstrix. Are there any other demi nodes besides ours? Yes, the team actually has several demi nodes across different members. So, for instance, Neil has a couple, I have a couple, and anybody else can launch one. By the way, the whole point is, for instance, if you want to be able to sync a little faster because maybe our nodes are, a little preoccupied or even congested. And what I mean by this is simply that there's a lot of different peers downloading blocks. So if you want to be able to do faster syncing or something like that, you can totally launch your own node and even load it as a demi node for yourself and your configurations. That'll work fine. Yeah, no problem, bud. Absolutely ask away. Great question. Yeah, to expand on that, the proof of stake is absolutely like Vegeta stated. It's planned to be up or implemented after we have at least the NFTs and tokens launched in beta, so that way users can be minting NFTs and playing around with the fractal system, seeing how it works, seeing how data relays, seeing how X nodes function, seeing how X nodes, pay fees and all this type of stuff. So once that's working and solid, we're gonna move on to polishing up proof of stake because we are not happy with the fact that or lower balances don't stake. And that's kind of a big deal. So Plumbear, the question: if TPS is unlimited based on amount of nodes running, do we have any competitors? Honestly, nobody is okay. So there's a lot of people claiming to be doing what we're doing or claiming to be soon to do, what we're doing. There's many other people at least stating to do something similar. But the issue is they're not doing it the way we are, and this is a big deal in terms of scaling and scalability. If you're not thinking about how you're building this completely through, you're going to have really bad choke points like we see with Ethereum, even like we see with Cardano and Solana was the other one that they have quite a few issues lately because they're incapable of properly queuing or handling any TPS or any transactions like that. Even with Bitcoins like our altcoin, even our Bitcoin altcoin that we've completely rewritten, we have a queuing system, just like Bitcoin does. So we wouldn't have this issue. Sure, your transaction would get delayed, but it would eventually get processed. And with the fractal system, this is just gone because of the way the nodes handle the fractal sidechains. We no longer have this problem. So no, we technically don't have any competitors in that regard. We have competitors in regard to forward-facing features, so like what customers see or what users or community users see, but we don't have any competitors in regards to how we function. All right, so Chucky asks, can you speak in short about what can we expect in 2022? What goals can be achieved this year? So the goals this year are to finally be done. Like I'm looking forward to being done with all these features. My whole goal this month is to get the NFT system at least public beta and at least forward-facing public minting, so users can use the system. They can use Unigate. If you guys have not seen Unigate, it's very similar to either OpenSea or Pool.pm. It will also be expanded with user accounts and such in a marketplace later on. But right now, it's more like a block explorer, and it handles exploring NFT contracts, and it works very very well. It's already working across the chains for any implemented network. You can see any implemented network if you go to unigate.com. It's to use. I can put it in the link if you guys want. I don't know if you all have seen it or not. But anyway, so this is already a example of implementation of how you can talk and interact with the system. Uh, so I'm looking forward to tying this in with the wallets itself, so that way you can see you can interact with contracts through Unigate, through your wallet, through the Discord NFT bot, which also is a fully functioning system. Uh, Pretty much, we're gonna go from there. Once we have that all working, I mean, we can do whatever we want from there. The goals would have been achieved, because we would have side on chain, and we'd have all those other features. So, Vorstrix, there is a roadmap. Right now, it's significantly outdated, but you can take a look on espers.io. It's our main website, and if you scroll down, you'll see a roadmap there. You're welcome to take a look. Just please mind the fact that it's pretty outdated, and we need to go ahead and update it. We're pretty much done with the systems that were stated there. The secure messaging, the fractal or the X nodes, all of that is done now, including side on chain. We're just not launching that initially because we want to test the system out using the NFT and token beta. Cafe, any chance to get listed on Huobi, Gate, or Qcoin? Of course, we're looking into things like this, but simply put, I don't expect to really see too much attention until we at least have the NFT beta and token beta live. You can expect to see this finally coming out this month. There's absolutely no reason for us not to have it by this time. I'm really looking forward to us playing around with that and showing it off to the community, showing it off to the world in general, because the way we're doing it is quite unique. We don't have congestion, we don't have bottlenecking or scaling issues, so it'll be very very interesting to see how we compete with what's out there. So, guys, just be sure to feel free to ask any questions you like. Uh, I'll keep the floor open for another 15 minutes or so, and then we'll probably call it a wraps unless there's a bunch of questions or so on and so forth. We'll go with demand there. So, Bitman, you're asking in the previous explanatory version of the Xnodes found on the web page and features, now the Xnodes are going to retain an X amount of Espers. What was the reason for the change? So there is actually no change. It was always intended to lock a certain amount of Espers. You always had to have some kind of collateral. The point was that you don't have to have any specific amount of collateral. So the whole point is, standard master node implementation or any kind of system like this, usually you have to lock a specific amount of coins in order to engage the feature. So for us, we don't have a specific amount. This is just scaled and runs on a scale. So Vorcitrix, gosh dang it, I need to learn how to pronounce your name better. I'm sorry. Anyway, in the roadmap, stage 4, it says chain apps. Are those like Ethereum D apps? Yes, exactly. That is absolutely what I meant by that. Because if we're storing and being able to render web pages and process that and handle that correctly, then we can absolutely move on to storing program data and pretty much that type of stuff. Fonzel, good morning to you as well, bud. So Chucky asks, when other features can we expect besides NFTs? So NFTs and tokens, I expect to have done, this month, like I was saying. But for the other features, I expect to have them done at some point this year. So what I mean by this is websites or site on chain. This is going to be kind of a little bit more intricate, like I was stating earlier. However, we can absolutely have tests of this shortly after we make sure that the overall system is functioning great. So I'm looking forward to just overall this year. You'll see a lot of features roll out and a lot of different functions become a reality finally because we've built the underlying structure and rewrote a lot of things to make sure that this can happen. And like I said, like I was trying to state is this isn't a fantasy. Like we have these features done. So it requires a little more testing and that's all. And I want to put it under some load with the community. So Vegeta asks, when do you see the Linux wallet coming online? As Evo nodes are waiting as well. Evo nodes, as far as I understand, did finally update. Thankfully to Sneal or Vinter. I don't remember which one, or it was. It might have even been Monoxide. I'm so sorry. There's so many awesome guys that are mods for part of the team or community that help out like this. So they have been updated. And the reason being for this is normally users for Linux, they have to compile their own wallets. And because of this, we have a entire little miniature guide for how to compile a wallet on the GitHub. And normally, if you're going there to download a standard wallet, you're going to see that README and you're going to see those instructions anyway. And they're copy and paste instructions for any Linux user, so it's really straightforward. However, of course, we can offer pre-built Linux wallets themselves. A user's still going to have the dependencies though to run it. So it's going to that's why we usually haven't offered it in the past is because most people just build it. But we can start offering it in the future, of course. So Nabje asks, are there any plans to expand the team if it makes sense for the project? Okay, so yes, absolutely, there are plans to expand the team. In the past, most people are looking for payment, up front, and they're looking for consistent payment as well. And this is just not something that the team, being a community project, has had available, as we have literally treated this as a feverish passion project. Most of us have donated quite a lot of time and our own money in order to, make this happen. So a lot of people aren't interested in that sort of thing. Once we believe that once we have these features out, and once we have a little more attention, it'll be more attractive to work with us, and we'll actually have more of a budget to work with other people. So of course, the answer is absolutely yes. I would love to have other developers with us. I would love to have, more marketing staff with us and a little more aggressive marketing team. But at the same time, I'm extremely thankful for what we have because we have a great team of moderators and community members that help out quite a lot. So, Vegeta, I believe I kind of answered. Yeah, no problem. I see you put that edit. Yeah, no problem. Sorry to kind of answer that with the previous one, but yeah. Bitman asks, do you plan? Let's see. Do you plan to have the web wallet with or mobile wallet to have secure messaging? Absolutely. So I even want to try to make a completely standalone messaging app for mobile, in particular mobile, because you know how people have texting. It would be really nice to have just something that looks exactly like a texting app, feels exactly like a texting app, and lets you do exactly that. Everything that a normal text would do. And this would be great, including, like sending a red receipt, things like this. Just everything that currently people expect from a modern phone. We can absolutely have this happen and then even package it in a little mobile app for users to use. And I think it would be a great way for users to kind of see how the system works and how you can interact with it. All right, so Chucky asks, "Do I go back to sleep after this?" I might. I don't know though. My stomach is asking for breakfast, so I might just be up after this. Good question though. So Vegeta asks also, what are the qualifications required for a coder to join the team if he or she likes or is interested in the project? So the requirements are simply I mean, if you're going to be a coder, you obviously have to be proficient in some form of programming language, or at least partially proficient. This way we can, assign at least simple tasks, and it doesn't have to be in like C++. It can be in anything. It can be in Python. Anything the person's comfortable with, we can work with them on it. And we would just break it down depending on their skill set and depending on their capabilities about what kind of tasks are assigned to them. The other thing I wanted to mention, by the way, to expand on that a little bit, is we don't just need coders. Like, people that want to write or make readmes or materials, people that want to make guides, people that even want to make walkthroughs or tutorials. Any sort of stuff like that is always welcome. A great question, Ghost. What is the cost to issue a token? Is it closed if they are not active? No, let me answer the second one first. I know that's a little weird, but no, they are not closed if they're not active. And the cost is so the cost is relevant to how many X nodes there are on the network and how many are willing to host what kind of data and what amount of data. So if there's a lot of X nodes online and they're able to host tokens and they're willing to host tokens, the fee is going to be really, really low and pretty dang reasonable. Like we're talking, it should be, okay, I don't have solid numbers, but it's going to be way less than, anything like Ethereum. We're talking cents, or I should say cents worth of Espers. And Espers is already worth cents, so that should tell you something. However, the value is going to come up once users start using the system. So this will overall bring up how much you're spending worth-wise, but this will also balance out with how much user base there is because the more users that come on to support the system, you're still going to be paying just pennies or even fractions of a penny to do things. So, Nabjay asks, "What is the feeling seeing your project slowly growing?" So, I have to say it's been a long road. I'm not gonna lie. It's interesting spending about 6 years, yeah, 6 years of your life just on this project alone, not including another 2 years before that, getting acquainted with crypto, getting acquainted with how the technology works and how the logic works behind it, and the theories and such. This this was quite a long road. Even sadly lost family members through it and all this sort of thing. Not to get personal, but so it's been quite an interesting journey. But I wouldn't trade it for the world, especially if it pans out. There's nothing better than that, and we're just so close to the finish line. It's not worth seeing. Sorry, it's not worth not seeing if we can make it all the way. So. I'll tell you this, by the way, Nabjay, the feeling's going to be amazing when I see people using the beta. That's where it's going to really kick in. Is when the system's working and I can just take a step back and watch everything functioning. That's going to be the best moment. That's going to be the best moment. Oh dear, Bitman, if that was a pregnancy, I I have concerns. So Cafe, it is kind of sad that CMC actually, so they pulled us off the list at some point. I don't remember when. I think it was about sometime in 2018, right after the 2017 slump. They pulled us kind of off that. So we were on CMC for the longest time. What happened is we were no longer listed on any exchanges that were supported by CMC, so they couldn't see any kind of volume or any kind of trading, and we dipped below 1,000 USD, trading volume. And when this happened, we disappeared off of the main view. So you can still see Espers on CMC. It's just not tracked right now. It's not on their live tracking because it's too low of volume. Hopefully later on, Exhibitron will be accepted to CMC, and we can start seeing some serious improvements in that field. But we're just going to have to wait and see what exchanges accept us in the future, and what exchanges get accepted to CMC in the future in regards to that. Oh, thanks, Alexander, taking all my thunder. I'm just kidding. So the main use case for the ESP coin itself in the future will be as fuel, as pretty much just like Ethereum has it with gas. Effectively, you can think of it as gas, but the point will be that it's more than that. It's not as limited to something as being gas itself. By having it be that, we can create the ecosystem we're looking for. So what I mean by this is, if Esper's coin is the main source of, how we fuel our system and the overall ecosystem, then this makes it really easy because anybody can be paid with, Esper's its fees for any services provided, and it can go round and round. And this is really appealing, especially with the fact that this will just make the economy itself within the system more balanced. So, great question. Nabier, is Unigate based on the fractal technology of Espers, or are we just a project contributing to Unigate? So, Unigate is literally the same thing as OpenSea or Pool.pm. I don't know if you're familiar with those things. One is for Ethereum, one is for Cardano. And what they are is they're pretty much block explorers with some advanced capabilities. Pool.pm in particular is just a block explorer that can show you and list NFTs or any type of NFTs related to an account, whereas OpenSea can actually allow trading and things like this. So this is a system that sits on top of Fractal. So Espers is the base. Espers is the base system that this all matters and runs not on but with. It interfaces with this. So no, it requires us. We have to be there. So Quarterly Pillows asks if you have the ecosystem at the point where it's working and ready for expansion, would you consider bringing a VC on, or other major investors would bring a lot of money, but not only a lot of money, but expertise with advisory, industry connections, etc. So yes and no. What I mean is I'm interested with working with more serious and major companies and platforms. That is always something we're looking forward to. But the issue is with venture capital and any sort of investment, they usually want a big chunk of whatever you have, and if Bitcoin didn't have to sell out, I don't think we do. Just putting it kind of that way. And also,
Yeah,
I sincerely doubt Vitalik Buterin's hurting, and he made Ethereum, which was a community project.
I remember the problem sounded in Silicon Valley series about the same problems with venture capital.
Oh yeah, because once you sign that contract, they own you, and I have no interest in that.
I doubt if the whole community will be interested in that, except the value growing of that coin.
All right, very much agreed. Yeah, no problem. Great question, Pelos.
And since nobody's asking about that, I don't know if anybody interested in that. But John, can you tell us how we're gonna avoid the weak place in the whole network, whole internet as DNS? About everything you said before on the last time.
So yes, I remember we talked about that. I think it was earlier last week, or no, it was just this Saturday. Goodness gracious, the days go by. But yeah, so what we were discussing with Alexander in the previous meeting was that how are you going to route the site on chains? So if it's great that you finally figured out how to host a website, but now how do we access that from a browser? And the initial way is, actually going to be two ways. We're going to have a DNS routing server, and yes, this is the most horrible solution, and by no means the long-term solution. But also for the browsers that are capable of it, such as Chrome and many others are capable of having extensions. We can very easily just have an extension, literally route anything that's like a .esp, and have it just straight interconnect with our wallet and interface with it through RPC commands. And by doing this, we can absolutely just have it work straight through the browser using an extension. It would just query the network, pull the chain data off, and grab the website data and show you. And this would be just an overall straightforward method of solving the issue of how the heck we would route the websites from the chain itself to your browser. And let me know if I missed anything there, Alexander.
Okay, with the extensions, and I just thought about a built-in Explore web browser in the wallet. But now I
Oh,
think
of
that
course. I
any
apologize.
extension will be
I
more
feel
useful as we're used to it.
I failed to say this. The wallet, of course, will be able to natively render anything. Like it'll be able to show you NFTs or tokens or even websites right in the wallet. I don't expect a lot of people to a lot of people who are not used to crypto or not into crypto, they're not going to hop on that readily. They're going to want to be able to use their Google Chrome or their phone, or something, just a standard system that already exists. So sorry, I was more talking about effectively plugging in to the current systems that already exist, not just having our own platform as well.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you, man. That's a great question. I keep forgetting about it. Take care, Nabje or Nabie. I'm so sorry I can't pronounce your name, and thank you for asking some questions and for sticking around.
We have another theme that we have talked on previously. It was Bvac system that allows us to use images as a wallet.
Yes, the Bvac system. But it stands for bits visualized as code. Or sorry, jeez, I'm sorry, I'm tired as heck. Bits visualized as color. It's color at the end. Anyway, so what this is pretty much we've developed a completely different method of storing data as an image. So I know a lot of people are familiar with QR codes, and you could think of it as that, but it's completely different in how it operates, works, from a fundamental level. And we already have this in the Espers wallet. Many of you can actually see this feature completely, fully functional already. If you go to, for instance, your receiving addresses with the latest wallet, you can actually either right click on an address or just click on an address and then select generate Bvac down at the bottom. And what this does is it'll ask you, where you want to save a little 16 by 16 image. And it's going to have, four different RGB colors. And what this is it's literally your public key being saved as a little PNG image. And when it does this, we're also able to parse the image. We're able to read it and scan it. So another way you can see this working is you can go to the Send tab in the wallet, and when you go to Send, you'll see a little version, a little copy of that, image that you made for your receiving address. And if you have either someone else's or you can even try your own receiving address to see if it worked, you can click that little button. It'll ask you, where you want to load your Bvac image from. And when you select your Bvac image, it'll open it and actually show you your public key. So it's not limited to text or public keys. This was just an example to show people how we can do this. We can even store things like our entire fractal systems like this. We can store fractal contracts or anything. The sky's the limit. And we're planning to kind of expand upon this for user information. So, for instance, like if people want to make user accounts and usernames and passwords and storing it in such a way. Uh, Chucky asks, "What is your ultimate goal when you started Espers?" My ultimate goal was I was really tired of having data that you didn't own. The cloud was cute, but there was no way to assure that any data you store on someone else's servers is yours. And when I saw crypto, it was, really, really interesting that, the data was distributed, but it was yours. Nobody had access to what you owned. And this is what was really fascinating. And, I quickly learned that the system could be used for anything. It doesn't have to be just be used, for numbers in a transaction. You could store any kind of data. And it made no sense to me that nobody was doing this. So that's what we set out to do. And, only took 6 years, but here we are finally doing it. So Vegeta asks, in a very real or practical sense, where do you see Espers in 2022 or by the end of 2022? So, in a real practical sense, let's say I was going to be completely a complete realist and just horrible timelines and all this jazz. So let's go with this. What I would see is this: we'd at least have NFTs and tokens running. We'd at least have secure messaging going, and we would be working on having sites on a chain go public beta. That would probably be my uh, very realistic outlook on that. And the reason why I say this is NFTs and tokens, they already work. So this will just be something that we launch publicly, so that way we can put some stress on it, we can work the kinks out of it, and we can just watch it operate, and just be thrilled with the fact that our system is operational. And then beyond that, we'll absolutely be working right away on the side on chain. I'd like to have that done this year. There's no reason for it not to be done this year. But again, if we're going to be like completely, almost pessimistic, I would say we would be close to launching the beta then by the end of the year is what I'd be looking at for that in particular. Also, I really wanted to thank you guys. There's quite a few people that came out and spent the time to come out here and join and listen in. I just wanted to say big thanks to all of you for doing that. That's really awesome. There's 16 of you online right now, and there's even a few more earlier, but I totally get that. Everybody has lives and not everyone can stick around, and I appreciate everybody who has. Chucky, you're too funny. So I have to be honest, I have no interest in a mansion. Just just a regular house that, I own would be great. Not interested in crazy. But I wouldn't mind having a pool party with everybody in the community, don't get me wrong. Just a big old barbecue. That'd be great. That'd be absolutely fantastic. Yeah, flanked. Actually, at some point, I gotta get that little game done because it works with crypto and it works with Discord. So it's kind of a sitting thing that could be really something. I'll have to expand more on that some other time. We could technically have our own metaverse. There we go. Just turn that little game, that little Java game we have into metaverse. And Vegeta, I look forward to that. I think I'm going to give it a few more minutes. Guys, if you have any more questions, be sure to ask them. Go ahead and get them out real quick, and then I think we'll probably start wrapping up here in a few minutes. I mean, it doesn't matter if you guys think it'll take a long time for me to answer them. Like, ask your questions, ask away, but just bear in mind if nobody else is gonna ask any more questions, that I might wrap up. Yeah, no problem. And it's great to see you, Toroid. I remember you and Pillows from quite a while ago. It's great to see some old members like that stick around. Thank you very much, guys. That's because all you guys are awesome. That's why you stick around. No, seriously, I honestly can't thank you all enough. It's a big deal, for somebody like myself to see other people, even bother believing, in what I'm working on or seeing if it's gonna pan out. That's awesome. I I'm just some dude in my opinion working on something. I don't expect anybody to pay attention. So it's really cool when people like yourselves do. Yes, Toroid. So this is for the other side of the world. This meeting was for you guys. We did a meeting this last Saturday for the U.S. time zone, and well, this side of the world, I should say. Today, Sneal had something come up with a member in his family, and he couldn't be here today. So I went ahead and did the meeting for both of us. And yeah, I had to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, but it's not that big of a deal. But I mean, I'm very used to dealing with other people and other people's time zones. I have quite a few friends, in Europe and Australia, so still have to be up around this time usually anyway. Oh yeah, just rub it in flanked. Well, that's awesome, by the way, Toroid. I didn't know that. Very cool. Mary XXO or XXYSLO. Yeah, I agree. We do need to get on a few more exchanges. Some more attention is really where what we need to focus on now. But also that would be a little easier with the features fully working. So what I mean is, if we can go ahead and get the NFT beta going by this month, then that'll already almost fix itself. If people are able to launch NFT projects and trade them and send them and stuff like that, then we're already going to attract attention. So it'll kind of fix itself in a sense. But yes, I agree. We should focus on attention. I also know this is a little off topic, but Mary XXYSLO, I love the fact that your avatar is a bionicle, if I'm correct. Oh, I meant your user picture. Sorry, uh, but but yeah, that's pretty awesome. Anyway, my apologies. I got off topic. Yes, yeah, bionicle. Sorry. The reason why I even said anything about it is I grew up with it. Sorry, I went all nerdy there for a second. Yeah, we definitely had some fun with a lot of code upgrades that had to be done. I do remember that, but thankfully, it seems like we can finally have this put behind us, and we can really push forward on the features that we wanted to do. We've already had a lot of these features actually finished as of July, but then we had to completely take a sidetrack and take care of that security concern that we mentioned earlier with Demi nodes that we added and with a very extensive updated chain security checking system. But admittedly, now that we're past that, I'm looking forward to having fun with these new features. Yes, hit me with some questions. But admittedly, if you guys have questions, if everybody pretty much you know, is satisfied with what they've heard today and all that, just let me know and we'll wrap it up too. I didn't even realize that we've been going for a little over an hour, so I don't want to keep everybody, here too long. Don't mean to drag you off away from what you all have to do today and so on as well. You as well, Mary. Sorry, Mark. Goodness gracious, I can't do usernames anymore. I'll just call you SLO. I'm so sorry. Uh, thanks for all the questions, and you have a good day as well. Yeah, Vorostrix, thank you as well, bud. Those were great questions you had. Much appreciated. And that goes actually for everybody. I really appreciate all the questions you guys asked today. They were really good. And also, if you guys think of more questions in the future, write them down, like even in a notepad or something like that. And I mean, notepad on the computer, physical notepad, whatever. So that way, we're going to be doing these AMAs a little more frequently, especially as we start progressing a little more quicker, more frequently. So, it'd be great to have any sort of questions that you guys have. Write them down so we can really take care of it in the future as well.
I remember Snail said that we'll have kinda an AMA once in 2 months or something.
That sounds good. I imagine that also it might become more frequent if I believe he's trying to give me some time to release the NFT and token beta. So he's hoping, I'd have that done in 2 months by the AMA. So at the same time, I'm pretty sure if I release things a little quicker, that might get moved up, or we might just have another one a little sooner. Because if we have a lot to talk about, then I mean we have a lot to talk about. So. Oh, and Alexander and Bit010 and everybody else from over there in Ukraine and just in general. Большое спасибо, что вы здесь были сегодня. Just wanted to say thanks.
Обращайся, всегда рады.
Well, Alexander, I think we're gonna call it because it's coming up on an hour and a half, and I think pretty sure that's pretty much everybody.
Well, you're right. I think we have to close now. It's come to a logical end, I think. Nobody has more questions.
Final call for questions.
Yeah, true.
I was joking, like final call for alcohol, final call for questions. Yeah, no problem, Vegeta. And also, I am recording this time, so should have actually I should be able to upload it to YouTube so everybody could watch tonight.
Fortunately, the previous one was more active.
Yeah, it was, but I mean, this was actually pretty great too. I don't expect too much of a response from non-US time zone just because I realized a lot of people involved in this project are English speaking. But then again, it's great to see how many people are from the other side of the globe. And I'm trying to go for everybody. It's not for a particular region. This project is for everyone. All right, guys. I think we're gonna end it here. We're gonna call it a day, and save any new questions you guys may have for future meetings. And I look forward to hearing from you all in the future very much. Again, thank you so much for joining us here today, and I look forward to uh, being with you guys in the future and seeing how this project develops.
Thank you very much for your answers. Bye. Have a good day or morning.
Thanks, bud. Yeah, I'm gonna go figure out some breakfast. I might have to scramble up some eggs or something.
Приятного аппетита.
Большое тебе спасибо.